What's up, everybody? Welcome back and happy Thursday. I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers, bringing you guys your daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor, and Atlas. You guys can find them and more info about them in the description to our video, so go ahead and check them out there. We had 2 3-star maps yesterday, so we'll go over both of those at the beginning of the show here, and then into today's forecast. The risk is shifting westward little by little every day. So we're looking at that into today, and then tomorrow's forecast along pretty much the whole Front Range and High Plains area from North Dakota down into Texas has a chance of seeing hail and wind. We also have a tornado risk in place, so let's talk about all of that here in a second. But getting into yesterday, there was a decent amount of hail across the Rocky Mountain West here, through Colorado, through parts of Kansas even, but in Texas was where we got, or in Texas, New Mexico, was where we got the most significant hail, as well as really high winds and a couple of tornado reports here through the Clovis area. And then things did taper off hail-wise as they passed into Texas, Lubbock narrowly avoiding a hit with some severe winds last night. Then up into Colorado, a couple of areas actually got severe hail, some quarters down in Parker, and then Pueblo also missed a couple of severe storms producing large hail. So some cities stayed in it, some stayed out of it through the Rocky Mountain West, and then all the way up through Idaho, Montana, and parts of Utah and Nevada here got some severe hail as well. So hail to go around, lots of states just named there, but getting into our 3-star areas, starting out with the New Mexico map here. There is one cell that really got going as it passed south of Broadview into the Clovis area with up to 2-inch hail, and this was also wind driven by like 90-mile-an-hour winds. So sideways hailing through the area there, through Clovis, definitely made a rumble as it passed through town, got some people's attention, hit over 37,000 homes with these swaths. Combined max size was 2 inches on this Clovis swath. And if you want to look up that map, you can find it. It's named Clovis, Portales, New Mexico, and Farwell, Texas. So go ahead and check that out on our website. You can go ahead and scan the QR code up above me in the banner there, or click the link in our description if you want access to our products that you don't have already. Or if you already do have it, check out the Clovis, Portales, New Mexico map there from last night. So that was a 3-star. Then we also got a 3-star in Idaho yesterday. So one little cell really got going as it tracked through Burley, Idaho, up through Rupert, produced golf ball sized hail through Burley, which has a pretty decent population. So got us another 3-star map for last night in Idaho. That map is named Burley, Pocatello, Rockland, Idaho. Max hail size on this guy was golf balls and impacted over 12,000 homes there yesterday. So a couple areas got some high-end maps yesterday. What can we get today? So pretty quiet if you guys are out east right now. Pretty much the action is going to be centered on the Front Range and High Plains areas for the next couple of days. So if you guys are down in New Mexico and in far, far west Texas today, there is another risk for you guys. Got some nice clear skies through the area. Going to see potential storms developing here in the next coming hours, with the potential for hail, wind, and the works. Then up into the Colorado Front Range, that risk is going to extend. Again, similar conditions to Texas, nice clear sunny skies. We do have instability through the area, which we'll take a look at here in a second. And with all of that, we could potentially see some storms continue to roll into the coming hours. Then last but not least, up into Montana and the High Plains here up in North Dakota. We do have some showers working their way through, some cloud cover here and there, but this will continue to develop as it rolls up and down the mountains, getting us some storms through western Montana into today. So a few risk areas in play across the nation. Again, mostly it's going to be nice and warm across the southeast here, 78 degrees in Atlanta, 78 still in Kansas City, in the 80s down in Texas. A little bit cooler cooler once you guys are in the New England and Ohio Valley states, and a little bit cooler through the Rocky Mountain West. We have this trough here, and it's a very weak trough, but that's what's driving our storms into the next few days. So we're going to take a look at it, but it is keeping us nice and dry out through the Rocky Mountain West, 42 degrees dew points in Casper, 51 in Denver, and we're staying humid up through the Central Plains where that Gulf moisture is streaming up into the area. So 60-degree dew points in Wichita, 62 in Dallas, gets us enough humidity through the region to potentially see some storms. But that humidity is creeping off to the west just a little bit through the Front Range and High Plains area, and that's where we could potentially see some storms where that trough interacts with that humidity. So looking at that here, again, it's a very weak trough through the U.S. West states here. But, you know, we got a couple of wiggles on it, and that tends to drive some severe storms. And when you got that, you know, humidity and all that heat from the Central Plains starting to work its way westward, interacting with that, that's what'll pop us some storms up through that region. And look at it for the next couple of days. There it is by 5 p.m. today, when storms are developing. And then as we go through Friday at noon, tomorrow at noon, really hasn't moved much, and we have this whole ridge out through the Central Plains that's allowing that heat to continue to drive up through the area, continue to develop more instability day after day for this trough to play off of for severe weather. There we go into Saturday, into Sunday, and now we're into your Memorial Day afternoon, and that trough really hasn't made much of a move off to the east. So what that basically means is the pattern is going to stay about the same for this weekend, with this trough interacting with that Central Plains heat and humidity, driving storms through the Front Range. If you guys are off east, you might get a little bit of tropical rain for your Memorial Day from this, you know, just diffuse low. It's pretty weak, but, you know, bringing you some rain out from the Atlantic. But a lot of us are staying below severe thresholds for your Memorial Day weekend, so that's some good news if you guys are trying to get out and about out east. Should be, you know, not really having to deal with severe storms. So silver lining to that. And then if you guys are along the Front Range, that's pretty much where our storms are going to stay centered. Looking at how that instability comes into play across the High Plains here, we've got a couple pockets of it up through Montana where we're seeing those storms already, and they're going to continue to develop over the next few hours. And then along those High Plains Front Range areas here, from Denver all the way down into the El Paso region, you got some higher values by around 4 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. And, you know, again, that's from all that aforementioned stuff, that heat and humidity working its way west, that trough kind of lingering off there, interacting with that. And we could potentially see some hail, very scattered hail, because it is a pretty weak trough, but we could see hail forming along that area. So there it goes into tomorrow morning. And all that plays together to form some storms into later this afternoon. Here we go by 7. Again, not much on the future radar to look at here. We only got a couple of real cells tracking through, but these could potentially produce some large hail into later this afternoon and evening through parts of eastern New Mexico. As they track off to the east, we got some developing off, I guess, just west of Lubbock near the Clovis area once again, with a potential for some large hail continuing to track off into Texas. And then we see yet another, we call them MCS, mesoscale convective system, basically just a band of storms that's going to continue through Amarillo off into West Texas, potentially producing some high winds through the region into the overnight hours. Then into the Colorado Front Range area. Got more storms rolling off the mountains across 25. There we are by 4 p.m. Mountain Time, with some more storms making their way through the area, tracking off to the east, intensifying a bit as they go. So there we are by 9 p.m. Got some storms with the potential to produce even more hail, potentially some large hail, through the late evening hours as they track eastward into, you know, the Kansas High Plains area. Then working our way up into Montana. Last risk area for today here. We've got storms developing here by 3 p.m. Mountain Time, just south of Billings there, just south of Great Falls. Going to continue up to the northeast, and we got more developing out near the North Dakota-Montana state line, with just a whole mess of rain, potentially some small hail here and there, and then watching some of those stronger cells to potentially produce hail that is above severe limits, potentially some large hail here and there, especially through this corridor here where we get most singular cells tracking through. So looking at all of that coming together here, we've got a couple risk areas, not a ton going on in Wyoming, so we're going to kind of skip over them. We got Montana and the Colorado Front Range southward in our risk for today. Largest hail is going to be those isolated cells in eastern New Mexico for this afternoon. So starting out there, anywhere from Denver down into really Fort Stockton, Texas, could see some severe hail today, quarters to $50 possible, with the largest hail reaching all the way up to just north of Pueblo into possibly like the Colorado Springs area, where we're getting some stronger cells working their way through that higher instability. And then where we're getting those singular storms tracking through in the best environment, that's where we got 2.5 inch hail possible through eastern New Mexico there, staying just north of Clovis, possibly around the Roswell area. So you guys have a moderate for today. Everybody else in the low, because it's pretty scattered. Then up into Montana, anywhere from Butte to Glasgow, could potentially see severe hail all the way into just the far, far western part of North Dakota. And again, the largest hail possible staying where those cells stay isolated. So for today, that's our hail risk. Into wind, got those same two areas in effect here, and really watching down south here where we see that band of storms once again tracking through the Amarillo area. It's been the same story for the past couple of days. Get isolated cells popping up through New Mexico, and then get a band tracking through the Amarillo-Lubbock region. So with that band, there's a higher potential for you guys in and around Amarillo to see strong winds with that. But anywhere from Denver, again, down into Midland, Odessa, Fort Stockton, even down into the Rio Grande, could potentially see a very scattered wind gust reaching up to 60 miles an hour tonight with any of those storms. Then up into Butte, Glasgow, Billings, same story for you guys, going to stay very scattered, but there is a chance that with any of those cells tracking through any of those clusters, you could see some high winds pushing their way through their area. Then into tomorrow, got a chance for all risks all the way from North Dakota. Now we're including everywhere, from North Dakota down into Texas, for that risk for severe hail, wind, and potentially tornadoes, which the tornado threat will be more limited. But we've got some higher instability really tracking up that whole way, getting a lither weaker as we track farther north. That's to be expected. Most of that instability is going to stream up out of the Gulf with that humidity, with that heat. But as that trough continues to interact with everything out here, we got a chance for storms around 5 p.m. and then seeing that start to taper off, kind of wane as the evening hours come around. But for the northern half of the risk area, there go the storms by around 3 p.m. Seeing isolated cells through western Montana once again. Could potentially get some larger hail off of any of those, and then just a whole mess everywhere else that's going to continue to track up to the north and east with a brief hail chance as well as a longer wind threat through the area as that tracks up to the northeast. Then down into the southern part of our risk area for Texas, for New Mexico, looking really similar once again to today. Maybe a little bit more storm coverage with those cells popping up through eastern New Mexico and far west Texas with the initial chance for some large hail. Then as they track off to the east, once again, starting to get a little bit messier. We still have some pretty strong cells tracking through, but now they're starting to cluster together a little bit. And then we'll continue to see that occur as they track off to the east. Lubbock, got a chance for those to move through your area by around 10 p.m., but now they're getting real messy as they track through. So that chance for any severe hail that's really large is starting to come down, and now we're shifting more towards heavy rain and some wind. It's after dark. Those storms don't have a lot of energy to sustain themselves through the area. So looking at the hail all the way through that region, largest hail possible up in that far southwestern corridor of Montana, northeastern corridor, southeastern corridor of Montana and Wyoming there, where we have those isolated cells, and then really watching again eastern New Mexico for that large hail. So if you guys are in Clovis, got a moderate for you guys. Anywhere down through, very far southwestern Texas, could see that 2.5 inch hail with any of those storms that initially form, and then significantly dropping those chances as we track eastward into, Amarillo-Lubbock corridor, whatever highway runs between there. That, is going to be when those storm chances are starting to taper off quite significantly in hail size. Denver and Pueblo, you guys are in it again as well. Low end chance for both of you guys for low storm coverage, but you could potentially see some large hail up through that area. And then Cheyenne, all the way to Glasgow to Butte, has a chance for severe hail, with the largest staying in that corridor there, ping pong to golf ball size possible. Then off into wind, including the same area. can pull out a little bit further east since things are lining out a little bit once they, track off to the east. But for Denver down into southwest Texas, you got a chance. Clovis again in a moderate, and everybody else staying in a low chance for scattered storms. Then Cheyenne, Billings, Butte, Glasgow, low end chance for you guys as well. It's going to be very scattered up to 60, but you could see some gusts reaching severe limits into tomorrow. Then for tornadoes, just keeping it isolated here to where we have those strongest cells staying singular, tracking through New Mexico. That's where we could potentially get our tornado risk. So if you guys are in Clovis, Roswell, just to the east of Las Vegas, just to the west of Amarillo, that's where we could potentially see some tornadic storms producing, just very brief spin-ups as they track along towards Texas with that hail, wind, and tornado threat for tomorrow. So lots going on. If you guys are along the Front Range or High Plains for the next couple of days, stay tuned to our forecast here. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can hit see first on Facebook so you never miss a live video. Smash that subscribe button everywhere else, and follow us on our stories, guys. Even when, it's after hours, we're off the clock, we're still posting to our stories whenever stuff happens, in the now. So stay tuned to those so you're always up to date. And then if you want to get in contact with us, scan that QR code up above me or click the link in our description for a demo of our products. You can also give us a call at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com or check out hailtrace.com for more details. And we'll be back with you tomorrow at noon to tell you more about your Memorial Day weekend and whatever risks are coming up. But for now, I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers. Thanks for watching.